Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Diversity is Lit Book Club. We are so excited to be here today to talk about our June Book of the Month pick for Pride Month, which was The Broposal by Sonora Reyes. Sonora Reyes is not a stranger to Diversity is Lit Book Club. We have read two books by them already. So this is number 3. Clearly, we enjoy their writing. But yeah, we are so excited to have you guys here. We will be talking spoilers. So if you are okay with that, whether you've read the book or not, feel free to keep watching. Put in your thoughts, feels, and opinions in the comments as we go along. If you would like to read the book first, then save this video, close out, read the book, then come back and join us in the discussion because we are sure to have another good discussion as we always have. And it's been a while since we've had all of the co-hosts on. Woo! The whole fam is here. So first off, if you don't know who I am, my name is Holly Davis. I'm the author of a YA fantasy, A Diamond Bright and Broken. Just announced that the international edition, which is paperback and smaller, is coming out in October in the UK, Australia, and I think the Philippines. So if you know any international friends, this is English, still in English, then be on the lookout for that. And then also, since we're talking about a Pride Month book, just wanted to mention that there is sapphic romance in A Diamond Bright and Broken. There is a special dust jacket cover underneath the regular cover that is still available on Rainbow Crate's book box page. And there's a 25. It's already there's already $5 off, and then there's also a 25% off sale. So if you haven't gotten this book yet, there's another book that comes with the box. Definitely check it out. I definitely read mostly fantasy, but I also love all genres: contemporary romance, mystery thrillers. Those are my main bread and butters. And then all of my links and then all of my co-hosts are linked down below, so please give them a follow as well. Also apologize because I've been working a lot, so if I'm a little brain mushy, that's related to next month's book. Then that's why. Anyways.
Or last month.
Yes, or last month. Yeah, we're just true, Alicia. Yes, good point. Thank you.
And it's not even October yet.
I know. So I've been seeing something called it's like for some reason after July 4th, there's like it's Halloween. Like
it's Halloween.
We were talking about that, and we're like, yeah, people are just like, it's Halloween now, and yeah. So, anyways, it's very fitting. Very fitting.
Happy Hollow Famous.
Heather, you want to go?
Oh, yes. I am Heather Venkat, known as Write Heather Venkat on the interwebs, and I enjoy reading and writing YA fantasy and contemporary.
Cool. Oh, I'll go next. Hi, I'm Teresa Beasley at Arthur T.A. Beasley. I write thrillers, and I've been a little absent, so I'm glad I'm able to to actually be here today. And I love thrillers, mysteries, and I read fantasy, but I'm just currently writing thrillers.
Well, it's like, I just have something going on that day, like my son getting married,
Yeah. Oh, and believe me, and I did go to see my son get married, but then I fell down a flight of stairs, so I've been out of commission for several weeks. So, it's been crazy.
Do you need anything?
No.
Teresa and I are local to each other.
To each other, yeah. But I'm doing a lot. I'm doing a lot better. But yeah, it has been some months. So it's been crazy over in my area here.
Oh my gosh. Well, I hope you're recovering quickly.
Yes, I can actually walk again. So
Yay.
I'm doing better.
Good.
You want to go,
Elisa?
Vanessa? Oh, me? All right, I'll go. Hi, everyone. I am writer Alicia Brumley. I focus on mostly poetry. Lately, I've been starting to get back into a nonfiction project that I have. It's called Project Memory Keeper. It's a grief-oriented nonfiction project, I think is the best way to kind of describe that. And I'm sure we'll go into some more on that, at later. But I'm really happy to be here with everyone. I know it's been a while since we've all been able to be here. If it's not been Teresa, it's been me. So be here. And Sonora, they write just fast reads. So I think we all finished it within the last 48 hours. And I think we all started it within the same amount of time. So it's all good there. But I am happy to be here with you all.
And I'm Vanessa, go by Vanessa Marie Books on all my platforms. I write fantasy, paranormal, and horror, also some nonfiction and a little bit of poetry as well. And yeah, I'm just really excited to talk about the book this month.
Yes. So, like we said, there will be spoilers. There are also some trigger warnings for the Broposal, which include racism, racial profiling, domestic violence, emotional abuse, death of a parent off page, addiction-related death, childhood neglect, ICE, deportations, pregnancy/abortion.
And I think sex
yeah.
also.
Sex,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sex, gaslighting, any other ones we
Yes.
can add?
Also, it didn't list it, but minor sexual assault.
Yes.
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 So on that note, it's always like that. We're like, whenever we say it all, it's like, wow, that sounds like so much worse than like when you're reading it. You're
Right.
But anyways,
the most traumatic one we've read, I feel like. Not that we have to like rate them, right? But
Right.
yes. Oh, and then as a heads up, as we have been saying, but Sonora Reyes goes by they them, just so you know. So first off, we want to say our overall thoughts, feels, and opinions on the book. What star rating would we give it on Goodreads or your book rating platform of choice? And who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because I read, or I bought the Broposal before, it was a DIL book. And then I was like, oh, well, I have it. So then I was reading it physically. But then kind of like the second, or I guess like the last third, I ended up listening via audiobook just because I had kind of a long drive the last couple of days. So I kind of read and listened to it to kind of have both of those perspectives, but in different points of the story. So in both mediums, I really, really enjoyed it. 5 out of 5 for me. I devoured it. It was so good. There's just so much to unpack. Like, to be honest, when I first looked at the book, I was like, how does she make a book like this long with just like the fake fiance thing? But, Sonora really put a lot in there that, we had to unpack. And I thought that even though a lot of it was heavy, it was still very engaging and interesting, and had enough lighthearted and happy moments in between the hard parts, that I thought it was a very well-balanced book.
I'm saying hi to. Sorry, I did listen to what you said. Sorry, I was realizing I wasn't acknowledging what you said, but I just wanted to say really quick. Dodd is in the comments saying this book is their favorite. And how can I join in the discussion? So we are regular co-hosts on in the book club, but you can join in the comments, so letting us know what you enjoyed about the book, if there's anything that maybe you thought could have been better, what star rating would you give it, and then as we go through our own questions and the discussion, once we kind of go through our overall thoughts, you can share and join in the discussion as well in the comments. And then we are over on Goodreads too, if you didn't find us from there, where we vote on our books of the month, and things like that. So but yeah, that's good, Heather. Anyone else?
I can go next. I am a pretty solid 4.5 out of it, not because of anything other than the new heaviness of it. For me, I was not expecting to go into it with heaviness, because I think if I'm remembering last year, our Pride book that we picked last year was, what was it, Love at First Lavash, maybe? Or,
yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
So it's
I think so.
Different vibe for that, and I was this is the mood thing, right? I was a little bit in the mood for a more light romance. So but that's the only reason 2.5 for me. It's just like, but if we're really looking at it in terms of their mastery of making the audience feel, the things that their characters are going through, then for sure, 5 out of 5, I would say there. But for just like the fact I was looking for something a little bit more light,
yeah,
but well crafted, and it's a bit heavy. But I don't know if I would have picked up if I had realized how heavy it was, if it hadn't been written by Sonora, if that makes sense. Like, just based on mood stuff, right? But not on craft or characters or anything, just like within where I'm at personally.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go next.
Physically, yes, the book was light, but the content was
the heavy part. Yeah. Well, I'll go next. I agree with Heather. I didn't think she would have enough in the book. They would have enough in the book to make it a full-length book, just from like the initial proposal part. But after I started reading it and getting into it, I read it just like in 2 days because I was like really into the book. I liked all the characters except one, and I'm sure we'll talk about that character.
Mm-hmm.
It does have heavy things in it, and one part did make me tear up, but we'll get into that a little bit later in the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave it a 5-star. I really liked their books. This is like the third book we've read, and I think I've loved every last one of them. I mean, even with the heavy content in this one, I believe they're a great writer. I mean, their book.
They might be our most read author at this point.
I think they are
in our club. Is that right?
I believe so, because we've read 3 books by the same author. But this one it pulled a little bit different for me. But like I said, we'll talk about some of that stuff later on. But it was easy to invest in the book. The only thing, even though I gave it a 5-star, the only thing that I kind of skimmed through was toward the end of the book, the wedding situation that happens between the 2 main characters. I skimmed over that part, but other than that, I read like everything. I think the hard-hitting topics that she has in here. I think they were done well. So they're auto buy for me. I don't even if they're not a DIL book, I will still buy anything that Arthur writes.
Yeah.
Okay. I will go. So I gave I'm actually on the same page with Alicia with the rating. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this. I did think it was going to be more of the light, fluffy contemporary romance, which I should know by now that Sonora typically has more heavy topics in here than just a fluffy romance, which I'm glad because I typically don't do fluffy romances. Just not my jam. So it took me forever to pick this up, but once I did, pretty much flew through it in 2 days. I really liked a lot in here. The characters were great. This makes you feel a lot of different emotions, I will say. And one character in particular will make you feel pissed as fuck. I would want to punch her so many times in here. But yeah, I really liked it. I think the only reason I gave it 4.5 instead of 5 stars is because the in the beginning, it kind of seemed like Tom's character. They said he didn't want kids, so it kind of seemed like he was going to be a child-free type of character. But then it turned out the whole, well, now I want kids because I found the right person, which I feel like that's a thing a lot of people say to child-free folks that I'm just like, but no. So that's the only thing that I have to start for.
Yeah. So I finished the Broposal at 4:30 and it's 5:20. So yeah. So it's very fresh, very fresh. Hold on one second. Oh, hold on. Sorry. I'm just trying to figure out something.
I like, by the way, I like all the tealish or whatever the color matching of the cover. And I realized my wall is like also matching the cover, like the side of it, the spine.
Okay, sorry. I just had to find how to. I was suspicious and I was correct. So, anyways, had to make sure I removed people. I was like, I just knew it. I know. I smell them from a mile away.
I think I'm the only one that went with yellow for the title.
I knew I had this when I was going through my shirts.
I have like yellow underneath the.
Ooh, you're rocking.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
All right.
And there's yellow in the light bulb of the DIL.
Yes.
Oh, so that counts.
Nice.
Love it.
But yeah, so I just gave the review first, saying, listen to my thoughts. But then, because I was like teetering between the 4 and the 5. But then I did go back before we came in and rated it a 4.5. gave it a 5 stars rounded up. But I also rated it 4.5. I don't like Vanessa had like a specific like reason why rating it the 4.5, but for me, I'm like, I don't know why I like it wasn't. Maybe it was because like the Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School and the Luis Ortega Survival Club, I was just like those were 5s for me. This one I felt was like it didn't grab me as much, and maybe it's just like, oh, I'm not as like, not like I related to the other ones, but I don't know. I just like felt maybe a little more detached, so that's why gave it a 4.5. But it still was so. I'm like saying why I gave it a 4.5, but but I loved it because all of the drama was just like I put in my review like there were characters that you love to love and then you love to hate, and like I really was scared so many times, not knowing what was gonna happen, worried for the characters. Yeah, it just like was a roller coaster ride. But Sonora is just so good at their like I love their writing style, like the no nonsense, that just like that smooth easy read, like Alicia saying, like we all just can fly through it. That yeah, it helped me to devour it, in a very quick amount of time. But yeah, so that's that. Now we can go into more details. I'm sure there's someone we all want to talk about first. Because, so I think it was Vanessa, right? In our, we have a text thread, and Vanessa was like, someone finally gave it to Jackie on page 352 or whatever.
Yes.
And I wasn't there yet, and I'm like, I am so glad it's happening because I've just wanted to bitch slap her through the page, like the whole book, and so it was so nice to see that, like, okay, it wasn't just like Letty that was able to like give Jackie her just dues, but like Kenny was able to stand up to her, Han was able to call her out, like it was like everyone who needed to like give her that they were able to like get their justice. Like it was sweet.
But I think Letty is my favorite for that slap.
Yes. They literally got to and Letty also is they them.
As they them.
They literally got to slap Jackie.
Yeah.
That
Well, and I love
how it feels.
That was the best part of the book.
It really was. I loved Toddy for Letty from the get-go. I loved that. As soon as they interacted that first page, I was like, oh, that's where that's at. Yeah. But
well, I think that was frustrating for me because it's like, and that was part of Kenny's arc, was to realize like, oh, hey, we're both just lonely and we're just being in this, but I don't want to be, your doormat anymore. And like was able to stand up for himself, but like getting to that point was so hard because everyone could see it but him, and he probably could see it but just ignored it, so it wasn't coming from a place of like of naivete, like maybe if they were in high school or something. So
well, and I actually had, so in relation to Jackie and Kenny, right? With Kenny specific, I really wasn't liking Kenny at first. And I was like, oh my God, Kenny's such a whiner. I am not dealing with the indecisiveness. And then I had to be like, wait a minute, that is not true. Kenny's a victim of abuse. Kenny is a victim of abuse. This is an excellent characterization of a victim of abuse. And so it was something where they did such a good job, where Sonora did such a good job of portraying that on the page, that I even was not super like Kenny fan. And then, but I had to remember it as I was reading, because he wouldn't make a decision. He couldn't stand up for himself. And then I was like, oh my gosh, Alicia, like that's not it. That's not it. Like that is a victim of abuse, right? Like, so I'm like, as much as I hated Jackie for everything that Jackie put Kenny through, including not only manipulating him with the baby from the get-go, but not even bothering to tell him that she had made a different decision, right?
Yep.
Which, as a person, she is allowed to make that decision, but it just highlighted how the baby was never a wanted choice. It was a method of control if the baby existed from the get-go, right? Like, which we, like, I mean, I know we saw the, like, sonogram pictures, but I honestly thought we were going to get, like, found out that it was all fake from the beginning. So
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought.
I was like, she's making it up, or it's the other boy. It's like her new boyfriend's.
I thought maybe it was Brian's too. Yeah.
I thought she was making it up. I was like, she's just doing this to control him. She's making all this up just because she doesn't want him to be with Han, and she wants him to do what she wants him to do. So I thought it was fake the whole time until she said she had the abortion, which you had an abortion, and if it was his kid, you didn't even give him a choice. You didn't discuss it with him to see if maybe he wanted you to keep the kid or not. I mean, I know it's your body, but still, that's his child too. You didn't even give him an opportunity. And that part in the book really pissed me off, because that happened to someone else I know, and she didn't give him a choice, and she did it and then waited 15 years later to tell him that she did it. I'm like, really?
Oh, no.
Wow.
So that part of the book really got up under my skin. And I was like, I just want to jump in this book and choke the shit out of this girl. I was fuming.
It was rough.
And it was
I was like, she is so wrong.
Yeah. Like, and it was so backwards too, because she even worked at a center for, like, you know, abused women. And so I think that what Sonora did was really important in showing that, like, women can abuse men. They do abuse men.
Oh, yeah.
And it happens more often than you think.
Yeah.
And, like, the fact that Jackie didn't even, like, bat an eyelash at it, like, just thinking, oh, I'm just being, you know, more dominant or whatever. Like, you know, we don't really know her backstory as much as to why she is the way she is, but
well, they told us she blames it on her parents' divorce.
Yeah.
The excuse she uses, because her parents split up, her dad left, and that, like, turned her whole world upside down, and so she kind of blames everything on that, but it's an excuse.
Got it. I forgot. Yeah, they did say.
But what I thought was really great about what Sonora did here was, like you said, showing that abuse does happen to men as well, but also showing that side where Jackie doesn't even recognize that she's the abuser in the scenario. And I think for some people, they think, oh, women can't abuse men. They're not strong enough. They're the weaker one. So it would be, you know, impossible for a woman to abuse men, especially physically, right? But that's not true. And I love that they showed that in here. And also just showed the way Kenny would kind of, like, make excuses for Jackie, and, like, you know, really giving us that victim mentality that he got sucked into, where it's like, well, I'm not good enough, or, you know, she didn't mean it, like, she's sorry, making all these little excuses and saying, well, you saw her at a bad time or a bad side or whatever, but there's a lot of good things about her, or there's a good soft side to her as well, which we never see. So I'm like, is there? Is there really? I don't know. But
Yeah. I thought it was interesting with the sorry. Just saying about how like it was good to see it from a woman abusing a man, especially like with Kenny's parents, like when they're like, did Han hurt you? And like when they broke up, and it was like, and then Kenny was like, I hate that they're like thinking that about Han and not about Jackie. Like they didn't even know that. But that was the first thing that they jumped to with Han. What were you going to say, Leash?
Another thing that just like pissed me off about Jackie from the get-go was how she tried to be a bi erasure, right? Like she never acknowledged that Kenny was bi from the get-go. She was like, no, you're with me. I'm a woman, so obviously you're straight. Meaning, she just did not even like think that it was a possibility, or like she was so insecure in herself, right? That's how it read to me, is that she was so insecure in herself that she could not accept that part of his sexuality, that she was being chosen as his partner. I'm using that term very loosely because she was not a good partner, but that she was being chosen. But with the way that she conducted herself and how threatened she always was by Han, it's almost like that was just like her first layer of defense. Well, he's not even attracted to men, so that can't even be a thing, right? But I mean, just from like one of the first times we see her on page, like that was wow.
Yeah. That was like this is Jackie, this is her character.
Right.
You know, I'd like to introduce you to.
From that moment, I didn't think I would like her, but I didn't think she was going to be just our ultimate villainess throughout this story. I was like, oh, we're not going to like her. It's going to be fine. But
I didn't like her at all from that moment. And also, it also makes me think, like, when you were saying about her insecurity, leading to the bi erasure, that I feel like that is an insecurity that probably a lot of women have, that which is why they can't or have difficulties with dating bi men. Because I've seen women that are just like, don't want to be with the bi guy and think that, they're either gonna get cheated on with someone else, or like he's gonna figure out that he's not actually bi, he's gay, and want to be with the guy, which feeds into the bi erasure as well. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting point.
But I mean, I guess let's also include that as a trigger warning then, right? Like there's bi erasure in that story.
Yeah.
Which is problematic in that I don't think it's even one that Sonora thought to include in that trigger warning list. But that speaks to how prevalent it is in popular culture that bi erasure happens with, I think such unfortunate regularity.
Yeah, I just realized, I was like, oh, I didn't even realize there was the trigger warnings on the front here, which also
she has the list, but that wasn't one of them.
Injury / breaking a bone, ankle. I guess that could be traumatic for someone to relive too.
Right.
Let me see.
But
I did like. I'm sorry. Go ahead,
no,
Alicia.
go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'll hold it.
I did like Kenny's. I thought he was a whiny too, but I did like how strong he became toward the end. especially when it came. I loved what he did with Daniel, the manager at.
Yes, yes.
Because I was like, as soon as he said somebody was stealing, I was like, it's Daniel.
It's Daniel.
Daniel is doing
Yeah,
it.
we do.
He's doing it.
It's
And he's
Daniel.
blaming it on everybody else. He's doing it. But the way he kind of got set up, I was like, you go, Kenny. So I do like he went from being this whiny person, people pleasing Jackie person, to actually becoming a stronger in the end. Because he was like, after he kind of stood up to her, you could tell he was like, okay, I'm not going to be pushed over, and I know Daniel's the one that's stealing, so I need to get him taken, out of the store, taken care of. So I do like the way he got set up. I thought it was funny. And it was hilarious the way he left the store.
He's like throwing things.
He was throwing things. I was like, dude, you're busted. So just get over it. Put your head down and just walk on out. Because you've been busted. I did like that part. I thought that was hilarious.
Good justice. Leash?
Yeah, it was really refreshing to see he took control back of his life, because the whole book he's doing things for other people, and other people notice that you're just doing this to help out Han, but you're gonna quote unquote ruin your life because you don't really want to be with Han, but he really did want to be with Han. But it's more so this he was always doing things for other people, and by the end he's doing things for himself. But he doesn't lose the selflessness, because then we find out that he's like, hey, I'll work. I got this. You can go to school, Han. So he was doing things still for other people, but not at the expense of himself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would say it's a healthy way that he was being supportive and placing somebody else's needs. And because he was supporting Han's dream of being able to go to college, and knowing that Han wouldn't apply himself, which that actually also plays into my 4.5. But just circling back to Jackie for a second, I think for me, the thing that was so problematic about her character in general, she just did not have a single redeeming quality that I ever saw on page. I never saw her being like, I was wrong. I never, because she threatened to call ICE on Han. And how smarmy, how freaking Karen smarmy.
Had it saved in her phone. It's already saved as a contact.
Yes, she did.
Abusive as and unfortunately, I don't think it could have taken anything less than that for Kenny to be like, okay, you win, fine. And even that scene where he's like, what? So I'm your for the rest of my life? And she's crying and being a liar head. And then she's like, yeah, you're my bitch. Sit down.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right. So there was just no redeeming qualities for her. There were no redeeming qualities for her. But to circle back to my 4.5 comment, which I had wanted to connect, but I forgot to say why. We never got to see Han get his citizenship. After all of that.
All that, yeah. I didn't even think about that, yeah.
I thought we would see it in the epilogue, maybe. Yes, we bought a house together. And I mean, I think the implication is there. But because we bought the house together. But at the same time, we spent all of this buildup. And then I felt let down by not getting to see at least the sentence of Han's parents and my poppy were all there on the day that my citizenship was awarded. Something like that.
Yeah. We didn't.
Or it could have been even in the epilogue, if they had talked about Han and Kenny planning a trip back to his hometown.
Right.
Let us know
that he got it. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm hopeful and assuming, right, because they did buy a house, but I wanted to see it. After all of that, I was built up into it.
After all the stuff they went through.
And because
So funny.
Han, or because Kenny's dad's lawyer friend called him and like he had an immigration lawyer. And I know like Sonora gave a like disclaimer, like this isn't a step-by-step way to get citizenship. But for Han, it was so much a part of his character arc.
Storyline.
Like, yeah, like how Kenny's was about standing up to his abuser and falling in love with Han. For Han, it was, you know, realizing his sexuality and getting his citizenship. You know, everything that he did was motivated by that. So it was disappointing to me that we didn't get at least some resolution to that.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I think I was just like assuming. So it was like, oh, it's it's for sure going to happen because like all of the stumbling blocks are now being removed, you know.
I might have to change mine to 4.5 now.
Sorry, I didn't make you change it.
I just realized that we didn't get any closure with that. After all that they went through. Yeah, we still didn't.
Yeah. I didn't mean to make anybody change it, but it's something where if we got another page, right? Like if we got another page, if we got something, you know, in a follow-up to the next book, because I think, Teresa, you pointed this out, that Sonora has another book coming out.
Yeah, she's got another one.
Soon. This year or next year?
Coming out.
Yeah. Even if we got like just like a...
Wait, what was it again?
It's the one with the bipolar.
The Golden Boy's Guide to Bipolar.
Bipolar. Yeah.
Even if we got a page in the back, like, dear audience, so sorry. Or in a newsletter or something. I
wonder why she didn't put that in there. I wonder why.
Maybe it got edited out. Maybe there was a
maybe it was there, and they, you know, maybe they had to cut down some words or something, and she had to take that part out. Yeah. That would have been awesome to know.
I was also going to say, going back to what we were saying earlier with Kenny finally standing up for himself. His whole speech to Jackie, I love that because I've been wanting him to say that exactly pretty much what he said the whole time. Like, just because I'm here doesn't mean I will ever love you again. Like, you're forcing me to be here, so I'm here.
Yep.
But we're never going to be together. I'm never going to love you like that.
Yeah, you can't blackmail me into loving you again.
Loving you.
Yes. That line.
Yeah. And she needed to know that.
I loved everything he said to her there. That speech was just perfection. Especially since there's another moment before earlier on when she threatened to call ICE on Han that I'm like, please tell her this. That's what not this exactly, but I was thinking, because it's right when he picked her up from Brian's house, and she says she had been drinking and she was drunk. And the minute she pulled up the, I'm going to call ICE on Han, I would have been like, do that and see if you ever get custody of our kid. Because you're pregnant, you're pregnant, and you got drugged, okay? The judge is going to give custody of that kid too. You're irresponsible, you're abusive.
Unfit.
Yeah.
Unfit.
Wow.
Using that child as a manipulation tactic to break up my relationship. Do you really think the judge is going to give you custody?
Ooh.
And if it had been Han, he would have said it, but Kenny couldn't have yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we can just touch on this briefly. Way to go, Sonora, for giving a positive BDSM representation in that storyline. I'm quite impressed with that. Right? Because I mean,
it wasn't until we got to that part. I'm like, oh yeah, they're not like YA. I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't a YA book.
No, it is not.
They grown.
And then I was like, oh, that's right. Oh, okay.
Right.
I was like, wait, you're grabbing lube? Wait, what's happening? The door's not closing? Oh, okay.
Right. Well, yeah, and they're like 23, right? 23.
Yeah.
And so this is an adult, really. It should be kind of classified as new adult, but that doesn't exist yet in the trad pub world. So,
but it also is like, except for those two scenes, it also reads very YA as well. So I even forgot that it was not YA until we got to the sex scenes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah. But it's realistic because, like young adults, like that age, it's like, honestly, I think back to when I was that old and I'm like, I didn't feel like an adult. I felt like a big kid still.
Right.
That's true.
I would also like to include, we've got to talk about Cornelius and the fact that he's literally on the cover and the spine, at least of my version.
Yeah.
There's Cornelius.
Yes, he's on mine too.
And then he's right here in the corner. And Luna, Luna is artist. Oh, their cover is a great job.
So good.
So many elements. Oh, I did love how Kenny's mom immediately went and got the grandma's ring though for Han. Like,
I'm glad you said that because that was what I wanted to segue. I'm like, can we talk about the parents too? Like,
yes.
Kenny's parents coming over, and the mom's like, "Why don't you have groceries?" Like, they were like, "What's wrong?" They immediately came over. They were so supportive of Han, where they, he's calling them mommy and poppy already and stuff, and knew that something was off with Jackie, and so I was just like, they were so supportive and just like there for him, and and then Han's dad did come around and. Was like, oh, this is all new to me, but I am here for you and I love you. And I'm like, oh, my heart. Yay.
Well, and how everyone in their families, not just Kenny's parents, but everyone in Han's family worked so well to help him understand his neurodivergence. Right? Like Letty, he always would say, like, Letty's the person who won't pull any punches with me. And I'm really glad that they do. And like to know, even like between Han and Kenny, like we have that no BS rule because Han needed that to get out of his own head. Right? Like, so I think it's not just the way that they accepted the sexuality of both of these gentlemen, right? Of both of these young men. But how they helped them interpret the world, knowing that this is fully part of who you are. Just because, I mean, it's said on page 1, right? Like Han is autistic, or it's said within the first 10 pages, right? Han is autistic.
Yeah, he's autistic.
But like everyone that interacts with him has really helped him to understand that about himself and helped him to understand, hey, your place in the world is exactly as you fill it. It's not by any other description or, you fit the space you create, even if your brain works differently than the rest of the family that surrounds you. You are loved and you are accepted. And I think that was a really key piece, not only like we're saying to the parents, but just like the supportive families all around, I think was excellent.
I wanted to, on the topic of neurodivergence and stuff, to parts that I wanted to point out. One, I was like, can we talk about how funny that scene is when Han unintentionally cockblocks Kenny with his just laughing
Could I say no? Or how could I say yes, right? It's like, well, I didn't say yes.
So
He misread it, and I was like, this is the funniest.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
And then the other part was, so speaking of how like Kenny and both of their families, how everyone is supportive of Han in his autism and stuff. I loved, during the BDS scene in the end, Kenny even tells Han, he comes up with a way for Kenny to communicate his needs, even if he goes nonverbal. I think he said snap your fingers if for yellow,
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
eyes for red.
Honestly, I thought that was because of the BDSM, because of what was going to be happening, not because of the autism. That is a very good point.
He said that he told Han that in case he goes nonverbal, and Han said in his point of view that does happen to him. It's rare, but it's happened a few times where he's gone nonverbal. So I thought that was the autism he was taking into account for.
And I think that makes more sense. But in my head, I was just like, oh yeah, they're going to be doing some stuff where he can't talk.
I didn't put two and two together, so.
I mean, I'll be honest. That's the only part of the book that I did not read. So I skipped over that part.
Fair.
I was like, okay, that was a little much for me. So okay, let's.
Yeah,
there were some details.
So yes, I did skip over.
But you don't read many spicy scenes in general, right, T?
Yeah, I don't read erotica stuff and spicy stuff like that. And even when I've read other LGTB books or whatever, I always skip over the sex part because that's just not my cup of tea. So that was it was just too much for me. I was like, okay, so we're getting into some serious stuff.
It is a good warning because, like Holly pointed out, it is not off page. It is very descriptive on page in your face.
And I got to that part and I was like, okay, there's some situations about to happen here. I gotta skip over this. This is a lot. Okay.
More than just a situationship going on here.
Yes, I was like, good for y'all. But I think you're supposed to do that after you get married. Before. They just consummated, I think, early.
Close enough.
Well, it was right before the wedding, so I guess it is close enough. But yeah. Now the other thing, the other thing that got to me in this was when his dad gave him the letter from his mom. Gave Han the letter from his. Now that did make me tear up because she was apologizing to him for, I guess, the pain she caused him or whatever. And I thought, I'm glad that his dad did give him the letter, but that just made me tear up because I think his dad sung like a song she used to sing or something. And then he gave him the letter and told him that he found it in her things. So that was like a sweet moment that he actually got to. I mean, she didn't get to actually tell him sorry, but he did get the gist of it from the letter that she wrote. So I thought that was.
Yeah, I think that was really touching, especially because he was writing her all along.
And he was keeping
to realize, Yeah, and then to realize that she had written
She had
him,
to,
and his dad had said, I think at one point, like, there are other letters, but this was the most important one that I thought you would need. You know, like,
Yes.
and
Yeah, that made me tear up. I was like, oh, she was writing letters to him too.
Oh.
I thought that was the sweetest thing. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
he's been writing these letters and keeping them. And all this time she had been writing him too, and they just never gave them to each other. So
Oh.
it just makes it even more special that he has those letters now. Oh,
yeah,
it just broke my heart.
I have a letter that my mom wrote specifically to me when I was in like maybe 4th or 5th grade, early 5th grade. So she passed when I was late 5th grade, end of 5th grade. She passed. So, I mean, like that part really got me because it's like, I mean, I have it. I can see it from where I'm sitting in my office. You know, it's like behind her picture. So I think to hear things like that from your parents in the language that you speak is more meaningful. Like if Han hadn't been writing the letters to his mom, it wouldn't have had as much of an impact, in my opinion, that his mom made sure to write that letter. And so I think like hearing your parents speak your language, whatever language that is, right? Like if it's a creative language or if it's like the language of your heart, right? Let's just put it that way. The language of your heart, whatever that language is, hearing your parents who there have been moments of conflict and strife between, because I mean, like his mom was not all like, you know, butterflies and roses either.
Yeah.
Like she had a very serious drug addiction, you know, so much so that like it ended up like, you know, catapulting his whole life into the Americas, right? Because they realized like, oh my God, she really is an addict through and through. She tried to sell our child for drugs.
Yeah.
Right. And then so like and I don't have that part to be able to relate to Han, but to be able to relate to a parent, especially knowing that they've passed. And I think it's really meaningful, like to hear those things that you had wanted to hear. Yes, you wanted to hear them when they were alive, but to have some sense of finality with that is irreplaceable.
Yeah.
So special.
My mom, she passed in 2019, but I mean, we didn't have riff or anything. My mom was my best friend. Right. But right before she died, she had sent me a message, and it was the last time I heard her say, I love you. And my hubby was able to extract it off of my phone and put it in a file. So now I can just go back and listen to her voice whenever I want.
Good.
So
I might need to send him one. I have my grandpa. I have a voicemail saved from my grandpa. I might need to send him. Be like, D, I need a favor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I don't know how he did it, but he got it off my phone and he put it into a file, and I can go to that file, or I have it on a flash drive too. I could just put it on and go to a recorder and just hear her.
Yeah.
For once, she was fussing at me about something, but then she was like, but you know I love you. So, I mean, I just go around, you know, she died April 12th of 19. So on April 12th, I always go and I listen to that. And on her birthday and Mother's Day, I listen to that message just so I can hear her voice. So, yeah. So I think that's why that letter touched me so much.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, he got a letter, but I got a voicemail.
That's so sweet.
One of the other scenes that had touched me, well, I guess it was emotional, was when they were kind of having the memorial like funeral thing for his mom, and like he was like, I can't think of like a good memory, and like all his other like cousins or family members were like saying these memories that they had with his mom, and he's like, I can't think of anything to share.
Yeah.
And you know, I just felt really bad for him because, you know, he kind of had to miss out on a lot, but I'm glad that then he got that closure with the letter.
With the letter, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were so many good points in this book. It's crazy.
It's good to see, like, there's, you know, Sonora does such a good job. There's so much depth to, like, all these different characters that, like, there's so much that we can talk about, like, and yeah, like you were saying, like, how can they put so much in this, and it's like there's so much. There's so much.
Yes.
Yeah, and
So-
under 400 pages.
yeah.
Just over
Yep.
almost 360.
Yes.
Which
360.
speaking of everything that they, among the many things they did in this book, one thing they did really, really well, which I love, was seeing the um, comparison and contrast between Kenny's relationship with Jackie and Kenny's relationship with Han. Because those two, I was like, his relationship with Jackie is all the unhealthy red flags
Mm-hmm.
in a checklist. Like, nope, 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 this is not love, this is not love, this is not love. It's control, manipulation, abuse, and so on. But then with Han, you actually see the love in their relationship. You see um, why they're so great together, which is why no one was really surprised when
Mm-hmm. Right.
and then getting married. And they even were voted in high school most likely to get married. Because you see how
That's right.
together, and it's just night and day difference between his relationship and Jackie's. Han is supportive, like we mentioned earlier. He always makes sure that Kenny's voice is factored in, and he has a saying. Like when he was like wanting to change the colors of the walls, and Han was like, "Well, what color do you want to use?" And he's like, "Periwinkle."
Yes.
And then Han says back the made up word. He's like, I thought we were making things up.
Oh.
How on board and supportive he was with that, and even I forget who it was that I think it might have been the date from that his one hookup date that came over, made a comment about I forget what something, and Han went off on him because it was Kenny's choice. He's the one who picked. I think it might have been about their succulent plant.
Cornelius.
And it goes off on him because how important it was to Kenny and Kenny making that decision and stuff. And so I just love seeing that because it shows how when you're with the right partner and it's a safe and secure and loving relationship, they'll have your back. They go to bat for you. And seeing that versus with Jackie, who she's the one always having him stifle his desires and his wants, and him wanting to do drag, but Jackie would never be on board with it.
Oh yeah.
That I was just like, pissed me off so much. But I loved seeing the comparison and how they showed this is a healthy relationship and this is a toxic abusive relationship. I think they did a great job showing both of that, and also that not just showing what a good safe and loving relationship would be like for Kenny, but also what that's like for Han and how it affects him as well. Because he, in the beginning, he says he talks about having commitment issues, not really seeing himself with anyone long term. But then he does with Kenny, and then Han is able to be more and more vulnerable with Kenny and open up and be able to say I love you without the bro or anything at the end.
Yeah, without the bro, yes.
Like the first time that he said it, like, was when Kenny like came in to his room that night, like drunk. He's like, "Love you," or "I love you." Like he didn't say bro, like, but he didn't even realize that he didn't say it because he was hoping that Kenny hadn't heard it. But I think even to Vanessa's point about the healthy relationship, like Han choosing to leave Luna for Kenny was so beautiful because it was like, yeah, this isn't just about me. This is about this love and our life. And like, even though I'm hurt, I still can't hurt you in that way. And like, like taking care of Luna in that way, like making sure, like, cause he said it, like, that's her favorite person. Would it even be fair to take Luna away? No, crap. Like, cause I'm sure he could have used Luna's support, but like choosing to still and that's probably why Han was able to help Kenny heal enough to stand up to Jackie, right? Because Han is the person that puts Kenny's needs first. And Kenny's even said that, right? Like Han's the only person that asks me what I want. How could I not want Han?
Yeah.
And we see the trope is like he falls first. So like in this situation, right? Like Kenny fell first, like that we saw, right? I mean,
right.
Yes, they had only one bed in there too. I was like, I see it. Letty's drunk. She has to sleep in the bed, so they share the bed. I see what you're doing over here. I'm here for it.
I like that Han. I like the way Han called Jackie's bluff too.
Yes.
He's like, okay, go ahead and call him. Go, call him. Do it now. I want you to. She knew she wasn't gonna call. She knew she wasn't gonna call.
Hated it.
We are a few minutes over, but does anybody have any couple quotes maybe that they want to? I mean,
oh dang! I don't even think I've marked.
Yeah,
I didn't have anything particular.
So really, just that, like,
I did have one.
Kenny's speech to Letty was not Letty, sorry.
Yeah.
To Jackie was like the
I had one that was in one of Han's chapters on page 84. It was one I could relate. He said he's I think it was when Jackie cheated on Kenny. He convinced his parents to do couples counseling. Okay. Where he says he's always putting other people before his own pain, but I didn't want to be his breakup charity case. He was talking about how Kenny always put other people first. And I was like, I can so relate to that. I can just so relate to Kenny.
Yeah.
Doing stuff like that.
That's a good line.
He was me.
Aww.
Where you're always taking care of everybody else, and then you forget that you're not taking care of your own self. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yep.
I think I need a timeout. So I can really relate to that about Kenny.
Basically anything anybody says.
I forgot to write down quotes.
I did too. That was one I had marked, but
I have so many marked.
I
have too many marked. But I guess the two that I'll share as mine is at the end during the wedding, their vows on page 354 and 355. So their vows to each other. Let's see. Han says, I'm not great at writing speeches, so don't go thinking this is going to be good. He let out a nervous breath of laugh. I just wanted to say thank you for everything. You've been there for me my entire life. Even when I didn't want to talk about what was wrong, you were there for me. You were there for things as small as when we were 10 and I didn't make the basketball team, but also for the big things like getting married. Uh, Each his words, and I'm so happy to be marrying you. Like ridiculously happy. This isn't some means country. So I smiled and wiped a tear from his eye. So I vowed to do everything I can to make it up to you. I want to let you in, Kenny. To be vulnerable, to be real. I want this. I want you. So fucking bad. Um, and then, and at the bottom he says, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much. Thank you, Kenny. And I love you. And again, he didn't add the bro. And then Kenny says, I wrote my own vows too. I said, trying to hold it together long enough to say what I had to say. Instead of reading the vows from the paper I had in my pocket, I spoke from the heart. I know everyone thinks I don't know how to make a decision to save my life. I've never been the most confident guy. I thought I needed someone else's approval before saying what I really wanted, even daring to think it. I was so afraid of making the wrong choice, and I thought if I let someone which was before me, I couldn't possibly disappoint them. I told you before that marrying you was the easiest decision I made in my life. And I mean it. I'm not afraid of being wrong. I don't care who approves or doesn't. I let out a shaky breath to avoid audibly choking up. I vow to choose you, hon. Today, tomorrow, the next day, and every after that. And I can't wait to choose you over and over for the rest of my life. There isn't a single alternate universe or timeline or dimension where I won't make the same choice. It's you, hon. It's always been you, and it will always be you. I love you, bro.
Oh,
No, bro.
My heart. I love that.
So yeah, I love their vows because it just incorporates their whole journey and the story and how they were for each other,
Yeah.
um, and how they, strengthened and supported each other and brought out the best in each other. And I love that. So
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I love that
beautiful.
so much. Oh, giving me the feels.
You can't help with this book.
Oops, sorry, I accidentally bumped you off because Zuko decided to lay on my book that is open to the. He's just laying on me. He's like, Mom, you've been on for an hour. Um, but and I was gone all day at work, so he's like, I need you now. I will choose you over and over. There is no alternate Okay, sorry. Anyways.
Vanessa did text the group after she finished. She's like, I'm listening to Mariah Carey now, which getting to see the We Belong Together scene with Han and Letty dying. I was and Tati, right? And Letty's like, this guy. Oh, so funny.
That's great.
Who else am I gonna lean on when times get... I'm just seeing the whole thing, them drunkenly singing it.
Singing it, yeah.
Gotta be a movie.
This hole in the wall dive bar, loving it.
Oh man.
Gotta be. Oh my gosh.
which that's another thing. We didn't get to talk about it, but I love that Sonora showed this as well, was the difference between Kenny and Jackie's breakup and Han and Tatiana's breakup. Because Han and Tatiana are still able to be friends. They still, they realize, okay, it's not going to work out for us, we're not, meant for each other, but we can still be friends. And I think that's such a healthy sign of a relationship and a breakup, when you can be like, I still care about you, even if we're not together. I still, want the best for you, and I want us to be friends.
Right.
Not something he would have ever been able to do with Jackie.
No.
Very
Nope.
true. Yeah, the dichotomies are like really interesting throughout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we had a great discussion, like I knew we would. If you would like to continue any thoughts, there is a forum on the in our Goodreads group where you can, add more thoughts, feels, quotes, things like that if you think about it later, or if you're watching this and would like to add your thoughts. So please join us for our July Book of the Month pick for Disability Pride Month, which is The No-Brainer's Guide to Decomposition by Adriana Cuevas. This features ADHD rep. Apparently, we're liking zombies this year.
And
I
it's
thought
like
it
a
was
little
really
baby. It's like a
yes,
baby
it
book.
is baby. Yes, this is a middle grade.
It's small.
I was interested in this because I'm like, ADHD, are the zombies gonna want to eat his brain? We'll see. I just thought that there was gonna be some interesting dichotomies in here too. So join us for that. We'll be discussing it in early August. We've been usually going the first Sunday of the month at 5 p.m. Central, so that's probably what it will be. But I will always confirm every month. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.